Shoreviewken!
Hey everybody, welcome back. Today I'm taking a look at Kokaku Kidotai, Ghost in the Shell, for the PlayStation. This is a rare instance where I'm reviewing a game that actually got an international release. But I really wanted to review this one. It used to be a favorite of mine, and it's based on one of my favorite manga of all time, from one of my favorite manga artists, Mr. Shiro Masamune, who also created Appleseed, Tank Police, and Black Magic. The guy's entire library of work is just amazing. This game definitely resembles the manga much more than the animated feature, which was released around the same time, and it has you playing as an unnamed rookie working in Section 9. Just something of an anti-terrorism armored police force. The main characters of the series do appear in cutscenes, but you never actually get to play as them. The plot has you tracking down and destroying a terrorist organization that blows up the Megatech building. Megatech being the corporation that manufactures cybernetic bodies in the fictional Metro City. It's not the deepest plot in the world, but it does serve to move you from mission to mission, and you get briefings before each one, updating you on the progress of the story, and you also get some nice cutscenes that dispense a bit of exposition and show off some really nice animation. You play the entire game inside of a Fujikoma, which is basically a spider tank. You can attach yourself to any surface in the game, which is really cool. Lets you approach enemies from any number of different ways. You can attack with a basic machine gun that doesn't do much damage, but it's the fastest way to attack an enemy. Or you can hold the fire button to charge up your missiles, which will automatically lock onto nearby enemies, and you can fire 6 at a time. You also have a stock of 3 really powerful super grenades, and aside from those you have infinite ammo, although you can find more grenades scattered throughout the levels, as well as some health power-ups. Most of the levels are pretty straightforward, just make it from point A to point B, and at the end of each level is a boss fight with some pretty cool looking robots. A lot of them actually just look like bigger Fujikomas. There are some levels that mix it up though, like this one, where you have to destroy a bunch of time bombs before the clock runs down, and you earn extra time when you clear an area of bombs. There are also a couple of chase levels that take place out at sea and on the highway, and those are pretty fun, but you feel like you have less control over your Fujikoma in those levels. Aside from that though, all the levels are pretty straightforward. Either just make it to the end, or destroy all the targets on your radar and then move on to the boss. I really do love the gameplay in Ghost in the Shell though. It's definitely the only game of its kind, and it plays really well with some nice responsive controls and moderate difficulty. And I also think it looks pretty good for a 1997 release. You can definitely tell it's a late 90s PlayStation game, but compared to others that came out around the same time, it's definitely not bad. The Fujikoma, the enemies, and all the environments are rendered well enough. Like any game from this time, you notice the flaws when you're right up on an object, but other than that, everything looks great. Although, any levels that take place in an interior does tend to look more drab. Aside from the graphics during gameplay though, all of the cutscenes look great. There's some very nice animation in Ghost in the Shell, and if you're playing one of the English versions, you get to hear the entire English cast of the first film, which is awesome. There's somewhere between 10 and 15 minutes of original animation, and it's all really well done. I also enjoyed the sound design in Ghost in the Shell. The music is really good. I typically don't really care for techno music, but it definitely fits here. It's so good, in fact, that the entire soundtrack was released on CD under the title Megatech Bodies. My only real complaint with Ghost in the Shell is that it's too short. There are only 12 missions, and you can probably finish the game in under an hour and a half on your first playthrough. You are scored on your performance, so that adds a little to the replay value if you want to beat your previous score in any of the levels. There's also a training level that you can play through repeatedly, and depending on how well you do, you get a different cutscene every time. I guess when your chief complaint about a game is that it's too short, that's not such a bad thing. If you're a fan of Ghost in the Shell, or if you just want to play something a little different for the PlayStation, I have no reservations about recommending this game. It looks good, it sounds good, it plays good, and it features the cutest little tanks you've ever seen. Check it out.